Brooklyn bound and F local train. The next stop is York Street.
Hi everyone, today is January 9th, 2019, around 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The temperature outside is around 42 degrees Fahrenheit, and today I'll be doing a video walking down Canal Street in its entirety from Rutgers Street and East Broadway all the way to West Street bordering the Hudson River. So this is the East Broadway station. It is served by the F train. And this neighborhood that I'll be exiting into is called the Lower East Side. So I'll be taking the East Broadway and Rutgers Street exit. Okay, it does seem a little bit dark out, so I'm going to go ahead and put on this safety vest here. So I'll be back in a few seconds after I put it on. Okay, I have my safety reflective vest on. I probably don't need it, but it doesn't hurt because Canal Street is a very high traffic street by motor vehicles, and it's highly commercial. So immediately after turning onto Canal Street, we have Chinatown. Chinatown is a large neighborhood in Manhattan's district in Lower Manhattan. And it runs all the way from East Broadway all the way to Broadway. Funnily enough, there in the distance is the One World Trade Center, also known as the Freedom Tower. So with regards to Chinatown, there are actually two main neighborhoods inside Chinatown relating to different regions within China. Where I came from, East Broadway, is one main Chinatown. Those people come from the Chinese province of Fujian, which are different from the people on the western side of Chinatown, which mostly come from Guangdong and Hong Kong. And they also speak different dialects, although right now Mandarin is getting more and more popular and prevalent even within Manhattan's Chinatown. And a little bit of history about Canal Street. So Canal Street, it's called the Canal Street because ages ago in the 17th century there used to be a pond called the Freshwater Pond, and other people also called it the Collect Pond, and it provided drinking water and a reservoir and like a recreational center for basically the residents of the young New York. And by the end of the 17th century, beginning of the 18th century, well, I'll get back to you talking. I have to get over this puddle here. Safety comes first here. So I think I can go. This is why the reflective vest comes in handy. Here's the Chinatown Fire Engine Company, the Chinatown Dragon Fighters. So as I was saying, at the beginning of the 18th century, the pond became so polluted, the Collect Pond, that the city decided to drain it. And the thing was, that pond was very difficult to drain because it was fed by a lot of underwater springs. So they naturally had to put the water someplace, and there was a stream that came off from the collect pond, and it was roughly where Canal Street is today. So they built a canal along Canal Street, but then that canal, it was poorly maintained and it didn't flow well, so it basically became an open sewer, just like the collect pond was. So the city, they decided to basically cover up the canal, and they did that with basically whatever dirt they could find and garbage. And once again, even though the canal was covered, there was no ventilation for the air to escape, so basically it became a covered sewer. So they had to redo the whole thing, and then finally Canal Street was born. And this street from the east side all the way to the west side follows that canal. And to this day, there are old 18th century canals underneath Canal Street, under all this pavement. So right here is Forsyth Street, and that way is the Manhattan Bridge, which connects to Brooklyn. If you want to go on the Manhattan Bridge, you can't walk across this side because the I believe this is the southbound side. No, the northbound side is for cyclists only, and the northbound side is for pedestrians. So I don't see any cars here, so it's okay to cross. So this park to the right of me is the Sarah D. Roosevelt Park. It's actually a bunch of long parks put together. It starts from here and it ends all the way in Houston Street. I don't know how many blocks it is from here where it ends, but it's a pretty long park. Now here we have a through street which connects to the Manhattan Bridge. The traffic patterns do get a little bit confusing here. Cars that want to travel westbound onto Canal Street, they can't go straight, and instead they have to follow Christie Street and then make a left further up. If you continue straight off this bridge, you can only make a right and go on to the Bowery, which is the street that I'll talk about next. This is a very notorious intersection for pedestrians and cyclists because it's a two-way bike path, as well as a lot of motor vehicle traffic. So it's very wise to wait for the walk signal here. Here's a Popeyes fast food restaurant. They specialize in a lot of fried meals and fried chicken. Now this is the Bowery. Back when the collect pond was drained and the canal was covered up, this area became a big swampland, and basically gangs ruled this whole entire neighborhood, and it was notoriously called the Five Points. This was one of the 5 points. The 5 points basically extended from Canal Street at Bowery all the way to Center Street, and then the southern boundaries were about where Park Row is today. I know it's kind of hard to explain the boundaries if you've never seen it before, but you could probably search it easily on a map. So We're entering one of the busiest areas of Canal Street right now. This is the part of Canal Street which typically defines Chinatown. Now this building across the street is an HSBC, but I believe that used to be a Citizens Savings Bank, and it's a landmark building. It's one of the oldest buildings in this area. A little interesting note: when Chinatown first started up, the Diamond District was located here. Most of the jewelers and ring dealers and all the high-end body wear was located here, and you can still kind of see some remnants of that today. There are still a lot of jewelry businesses here. Now a lot of the businesses have moved up to 47th Street between 5th Avenue and 6th Avenue. Now if you forgot you're in Chinatown, here's the official Welcome to Chinatown sign, although it's facing the wrong way from this way. Now we're about to cross over one of Chinatown's other main streets, the other main street being Canal Street, and this one is Mott Street. This is one of the first streets settled by the early Chinese, and it's lined with restaurants and grocery stores, Chinese businesses, pharmacies, you name it. If you're ever in the area, you should come and check it out. So Canal Street is also known notoriously for its counterfeit goods trade. There used to be a lot of gray area products sold on this street. Some name brands including Louis Vuitton and Chanel bags and fake Rolexes, and they wouldn't even show them publicly on the street. You'll have to go into one of the side stores, and then someone will go in the back and show you their goods. It was a very successful business for many of these dealers, and the city has cracked down on most of it, although I wouldn't be surprised if some of it still exists today. I do see a lot of wares openly being peddled on the streets. A lot of people don't like Canal Street because it's very tourist heavy, and the traffic is pretty bad here, with all the cars going towards New Jersey via the Holland Tunnel. That's also partly the reason why it hasn't gentrified, because it's not a really desirable area. It's very noisy, it's very commercial, and plus a lot of these businesses and stores, they're actually community owned. They're not owned by like a single owner or a group of like 2 or 3 people, but because the Chinese back in the day, they didn't have much money, they pooled their money together and bought the building as a community. So in order to get the community to sell out to a developer is very hard, because you'll have maybe like 50 or 100 owners, and they all need to vote on the decision of what to do with the property. So that keeps a lot of the tenants within Chinatown still, and it hasn't experienced the rapid growth like other neighborhoods in Manhattan did, like Soho or Tribeca. And those two neighborhoods I'm actually going to pass by really soon. So this is Center Street. This is the edge of the historical 5 Points. No matter where you go in the city, you'll always see people who don't follow the traffic laws and almost cause a collision. I mean, it's unfortunate, but people really do need to watch out and don't assume that people will stop. So over here, Canal Street has a subway station. It's served by the NQRW number 6, J and Z trains. You can see a lot of businesses that are shuttered over here, and many of them have actually been vacant for quite a long time, and even across the street. I'm not sure why they've been vacant for so long, but I theorize that it's not really a desirable area, and the landlords are just asking for too much money. So there have been attempts to gentrify Chinatown, like you'll see Coffee Room over there and some more businesses as I go further west, but it hasn't really been that successful so far. Now there's a lot of construction here. I guess they're doing work on the subways because the fencing is right over the subway grates. Here's another big business that moved in that's trying to imitate something like the Chelsea Market, and they call themselves, they're trying to, let me wait until this ambulance passes. So this business is trying to imitate the Chelsea Market, and basically it's a food hall. There's one of the few alleys in New York, the Portland Alley. Despite popular opinion, New York City and Manhattan isn't really full of alleyways. In fact, they only really shoot the same alleyways over and over, and that one is just one of them. So now I'm entering the neighborhood of Soho. To the north of me is Soho, and to the south is Tribeca. And the acronym Tribeca stands for Triangle Below Canal Street. It's actually not really a triangle, it's more like a trapezoid. But hey, triangle sounds better than trapezoid, so that's why they kept it. So you can even see over here there's some signs of gentrification and some attempts to move the business from Soho and Tribeca all the way down here. when Soho first gentrified, it was more of a bustling art scene, arts and crafts and creative minds moving together. So I've noticed they are trying to do that a little bit, like across the street there, 320A Canal Street, with some creative works. But overall, it hasn't really affected the neighborhood as much. Today is actually not a very bad day for traffic at all. The cars and traffic are moving very smoothly. On really bad days, these cars and vehicles could be backed up back to back. So here's a mixed-use building going up on Canal Street.
Out here, me and you will get steak.
Yeah, all right, baby.
See you later, boss.
Okay, so as we get further and further west, Canal Street gets more and more, I guess you would say, industrialized, and here's some scaffolding going up. I don't know what they're doing here. There's a Sheraton Hotel and a Planet Fitness across the street if you ever want to stay here. I mean, I wouldn't call this the most desirable area to spend your night, but whatever your lifestyle is and whatever you're comfortable with. Hey. So here there are a few clothing stores and some cafes. There's a Cafe Bene over there and some more eating spots. They're slowly trying to turn Canal Street into more of like a hipster area, like Williamsburg or Soho. Over here is West Broadway. There's three types of Broadways in Manhattan. There's East Broadway, Broadway, and West Broadway. My goodness, that woman should not be crossing the street there. I would be scared. So here's a subway stop for the A, C, and E trains at the intersection of 6th Avenue and Canal Street. Now this is an extremely busy area. They usually have traffic agents directing traffic here. But right now, a lot of them are taking a break and just standing off to the side. Now that's very, very dangerous. Even though the pedestrians have a walk signal. Don't assume that you can just cross the street like that and not get hit by anything. Always have to look both ways before you cross the street. Here's a large city bike station by the Holland Tunnel. City Bike is the city's bike share system. It costs $169 a year, or $12 for a day pass, or $3 for a single ride use of 30 minutes. Here's the final subway stop on Canal Street, which is the number 1 train. All of these vehicles are headed towards Lower Manhattan. The Financial District and Battery Park, they're not too far away from here. So this area is known as Hudson Square. Hudson Square is a commercial area. It's near the Holland Tunnel. I believe it's also home to the Ghostbusters Firehouse. Here is a Link NYC booth. It's deactivated, but when they're on, they provide a lot of basic functionalities. They provide free calling anywhere in the world. Well, maybe not anywhere in the world. I do know it's free local and long distance calling within the United States. There's web browsing. You could charge your phone from it. There's no cord provided though. You have to provide your own cord. And you can also look for directions. Basically, all of those Link NYC booths, they used to be payphones, but because the payphones fell out of use, the city decided to contract out the development of the payphones into something more useful. So this company put in the Link NYCs, and they didn't cost the city anything. They pay for themselves with the advertising on the screens. So this is the entrance to the Holland Tunnel. This tunnel goes to New Jersey. It's only accessible by motor vehicles. Pedestrians and bicycles and other sorts of transportation are not allowed in this tunnel. Although I've heard a few stories of people who've tried. They got followed through the tunnel and then given a huge fine. I will only cross the street here if the walk signal is on, because this street is really, really dangerous. I'm glad I have my vest on right now. So off in the distance there, looks like the last glimpse of the sun is going down behind the horizon. This section of Canal Street, there really isn't much here. It's just a bunch of residences and not too many things to know. It's basically a vehicle drive-through towards Manhattan's west side. So I have no idea what this business is, but it looks like it has something to do with manufacturing or like office supplies. So I'm approaching Manhattan's western end at West Street. This is also frequently called the West Side Highway. It is getting noticeably more windy, so I apologize if the audio is not so good and you can't hear me as well. The wind chill is really getting to my hands. So here at the intersection of, oh my goodness, at the intersection of Canal Street and West Street, you have this uniquely shaped building, which is actually a Department of Sanitation of New York facility. It's called the Salt Shed. And the reason why the city uses salt is because during the winter time, like now, whenever it snows or there's a threat of ice, the city takes all the salt from facilities such as these and spreads it throughout the streets of New York so they don't ice up. So this is why it's called the West Side Highway. Cars travel really, really quickly on this road. And here's another look at the Salt Shed facility. And that'll do it for this video. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and tell your friends and colleagues about this video and my channel. And I'll see everyone next time. Thank you.